Have you ever had where you've played such an intense character that people confuse Jamison with the character? I was just, that was a role, madam.
Right, right. I mean, I definitely had people recognize me and tell me how much they hated the character, but I think they were with it enough to be able to recognize that I was the actor that was playing that. But I certainly, especially with Tyler, who, did that show for so long. We'd be out at dinner, and people would come up to the table, and just, I remember this one woman kind of quietly berating him about what he had done to some, I don't remember the characters, but, as how could you do that to Cindy, and she had your baby, and it's just like, this is crazy.
That's what happened. And the soap operas too, like we're talking General
Yeah.
Hospital, but also you had a recurring role on Young and the Restless as well, huh?
Yeah, that was a really pretty exceptional experience. That was a nice long run. Again, fairly dark, and we might say that he was a villain in that particular instance, right? The bad guy. That was pretty fun being on that show and getting to work with all those actors and kind of integrating myself into that storyline and kind of ripping it apart a little bit and finding my own sense of how to navigate that and manipulate those people. And he was a pretty bad guy, manipulating everybody, just going for the money.
I know my sister and my mother had mentioned that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the one that's coming on? Yes.
Yeah.
They remember those characters very well on the Young Restless. And, when you have an opportunity to be on these shows, it's like a family, isn't it? The crew, the other cast members, you're all rooting for one another to make the magic, right? And that's that's like the icing on the cake of it all, isn't it?
It is absolutely. I guess you assume as the audience watching, they must hate each other, but no, you're actually really trying hard to find the thing that makes all of that work and find the choices that make the disdain or the hatred or the anger or this character despises that character. So you're finding those choices that help support that. And that's a collaborative experience with another actor. And, the directors on those shows have so much on their plate that they are kind of like a voice of God talking to you from the control booth, cutting from this camera, that camera, that camera. So a lot of times it's the actors that are working out the finer details and the minutia of the performance and the choices. So it's pretty great to have those other creative individuals to kind of help support your performance. And everybody's so welcoming when you get cast in that world.
How much say do you have in the direction of a character, or some of the words that maybe you think, having taken on the character and sort of really living the character, well, gee, maybe he actually wouldn't respond that way, or
Right.
he really wouldn't answer it that way? Or have you had opportunities where input is allowed? And what would be some of those experiences where they allowed the actors and actresses to have some thought on how they feel the character would respond and be in a situation?
Yeah, it's funny. We were actually talking about this last night in the master class that I teach with a bunch of really wonderful young talented actors that are making their way into the industry as well. We were sort of talking about the old joke of the actor saying, "Oh, well, my character wouldn't do that." And while it is a bit of a joke, there's also some reality to that, but it's not based on what I believe. It's based on what the script has told me up until this point. And so if the script has mapped out a character that does this and behaves this way and makes these kinds of choices, and then there is a choice that's written in that seems sort of counterintuitive or goes against what has supported the trajectory of this character up until that point, then it does make sense for the actor to kind of say, it doesn't really make sense that I would do this as this individual based on what I've done up until this point. Now, a lot of times actors aren't as adept at crafting the conversation with the director that way, and they just say, well, my character wouldn't do that. But it really comes from the idea that the script has told them so much about the character. And so I think when you can actually have a conversation with a director and sort of talk about the way that the script supports or doesn't support a certain choice, then of course they're open to having that discussion. And what I found on the soap operas is that my best tool was to go to the favorite actor, right, and just say, hey, it's not making sense that my guy would do this. Do you agree with me or disagree? Absolutely. And then they'd say, let's go talk to the director. And then I had to weigh in, right? I'm just a guest. I'm just there for a couple of months or whatever.
And the other one's been there 30 years or whatever.
Exactly. Having the support of one of those actors is, yeah, I completely see what you're saying. And look, it's all in an effort to make the show better. It's all in an effort to make the moment stronger. So it's never done with any kind of animosity.